Hi, this is Sashi, and today I'm going to be showing you how to assemble one of these PUREconnect boards from the parts. So you should have um, two boards, two connectors, a 10 pin, and some pogo pins. So what we're going to do here is first realize there's two different sides. The boards are the same, so you just need to stack the boards up like this. And so what you're going to do is one side's going to face downward, so this will be the up side. So what we're going to do here is place the connectors in like this. So that you have the 10 pin programming connector facing up here, and then you're going to place the board, second board, on top of it the exact same way. So then you have them stacked just like that. Nothing's soldered yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to solder the back side of these boards. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so we'll carefully flip it over. Don't burn your fingers. And then what we're going to do is solder the top side, but just enough, just a little bit at the base, so they stay in place, but not so much that they wick up the top of the pin. Because if they wick up too much at the top of the pin, you can't stick your connectors on top of that. So just control it a little bit on each one. If you do get too much, then you can just wick the extra out the top with some solder wick. So now that we've completed this step, with the base all set up, we're going to grab our 10 pogo pins. So here I counted out our pogo pins here. So the next step is we're going to flip it over this way, and what we're doing is we're setting up the pogos in the 6 inside ones and then facing out. So you'll notice the pogo pins have a spring on one side and the other side is just blank. So we're going to face the 6 middle ones facing up with the spring pointing towards you. So Here we have them all in. They're not soldered, so the key here is making sure they're all flat and level. So I'll try to tilt it carefully as you can see, but I'm knocking some out. But you're basically cut on a level surface, and the top will be all flush. You can test, make sure the springs are all working in this case. So now at this point we're going to solder them in. So we'll get the soldering iron in here. The key is keeping it level while soldering it. Let's just wait. What I'm going to do actually, notice that there's 6 spring sides up. We're going to flip it around. The other 3 remaining outside ones, we're going to insert the pogos upside down. So spring side facing downward here. And we do that to the 3 outside ones. So I put them all in on the outside. So I haven't soldered that, but I'll show you a soldered one here. So if you can tell, you might want to look at the pictures, but you can see these 3, or these 6 in the middle, are the springs, where the outside 1, 2, 3 are solid. So I just stacked up some boards that get it all flat. And now we're going to be soldering the pins in. Oops. It's probably the hardest part to get it all level. So remember, even if you solder it unlevel, you can always come back and reheat it to get it back in place. So one thing to realize, the smaller tip you have here, the better. So you don't want to get too much solder in, otherwise you're going to bridge the pads. So this is where you need to know what you're doing and not gob a ton of solder on. Otherwise you'll be coming in and cleaning up the pads later with some solder wick. And if you don't have solder wick, you probably need to get some. It's a little bit easier if you're trying to not solder through a camera, so excuse my poor soldering. But this should work. So if you look here, you have them all soldered, and there's a little one I messed up uneven. So what you'll do is you check them out, you'll see the one uneven one. You can push down while you're soldering to get it lined up just right. So, and these are spring contacts, so it's not critical that they're perfect, but you might as well get it right when you can. There we go. So once you do that, your next step is to solder the Cortex connector over here. Let's get it in focus. You can solder the back side of this one. I'll usually do that at the end. So what I'll do for the Cortex connector, it's easier to just solder one pad first, get it aligned, and then do the rest. So I'll just pick the easiest one to hit first, which will be this one. Right. We have a connector here. If you have tweezers, now's the time to use them. I'm using my worst soldering iron and worst tweezers here, just to make sure that I'm not using some good stuff here. If you have the nice high quality equipment, it'll be even easier. but if I can do it with this, it shouldn't be a problem. See, it's on there. Now we're just going to go hit the rest of the pads. So we're basically done at this point. You can see the completed ones here. These ones work here, and I only soldered the one side on this guy. If you only do one side, they're very easy to realign. So if you want them to come out more, you can hit it and bring them all out. If you try to do both sides, they're kind of stuck. The reason you only need one side is because we have the header, which brings all the signals from this one side through the board to this connector. So there's no electrical reason why you need to solder the back side. A little bit more rigid. So for example, if a pin is not perfectly aligned, you can hit it and get the thing back out. So there we have it. It's fully assembled. Here's one that's popping out a little bit. I'll straighten that in a second. So I'll kind of just go through common issues. So for example, I don't have any solder bridges here on this guy, but let's for example say I'm sloppy here, and I'm just gonna like don't do this, but say you come in the solder in here and you just get too much soldering. Oopsies, I just bridged a whole bunch of this together. So say you do something like that, right? Not sure if you can see it, but I bridged those two together on purpose, just as an example. So what you need is solder wick here. Come over here. Start with a clean braid. And then simply what you're going to be doing here is placing the wick kind of right on where you bridged it, and then get it with your soldering iron, and it should pull off. It works well if you basically almost take it all out and then come back again with solder to fix it. Sometimes you can just touch it up. Yeah, it's basically all gone. If you have solder flux, this is when you could use it to kind of get it to flow a little easier. But so here's another thing that I just noticed. You see the board's a little bit not straight. Not a big deal. You can just come on to the side where it's not and slowly push down and slowly heat it up. Get it straightened out. Alright, a little better. There you go. So that's how you assemble the board. A little lengthy. You can probably skip through this and come back and figure it out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy it.